Investor Michael Burry making another big call against the market. The big short investor calling Tesla shares ridiculously overvalued. Tom Narayan covers Tesla and other automakers for RBC and joins us now. Tom, great to see you. Thank you for being with us. We can start with Tesla, but I would love to talk about how representative it is of the larger auto space and how difficult it is to get a handle on exactly the supply-demand dynamics at a time of post-pandemic transition and post-tariff realization.
Yeah, and I think what you're noticing more and more is the strength underlying the U.S. economy, especially at the top end and maybe at the middle, is manifesting itself with auto sales, which have actually been stronger than what a lot of people expected. We did our own work to actually show that there's about a 6 to 7 million vehicle deficit of cars that were never purchased because of the pandemic. And, you know, in the U.S., in a lot of states, you have to have a car. It's as simple as that. How do you get to work? And if you can afford the car, you will buy it. And so, you know, at the beginning of the year, I think folks were looking at something like a 15 million vehicle SAAR for 2025. It's looking like it's probably going to be a 16.2, 16.3 million number. So yes, sure, things are slowing down a little bit. There's been some pricing to offset some tariffs lately with some OEMs. But if you take a step back, there is some real strength of the economy. Unemployment is very low. We'll probably have another rate cut, right, later this year, probably more next year. And then tariff resolution in 2026, especially with the USMCA. So given that backdrop, we're actually pretty constructive on U.S. autos.
So this goes to who's going to win, right? Is it the U.S. auto manufacturers? Is it the electric vehicle manufacturers? Or is it, as we have seen of late, a real shift back to hybrid and, frankly, trucks and away from the Elon Musk's Teslas of the world?
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at cars specifically or autos specifically. I would agree with that. It's ICE cars in the U.S., definitely. Perhaps there's some room for EREV or hybrid. Certainly EVs is not the place to be right now in the U.S. I do think there's room for that maybe later in the decade. But right now, the strength is at the heart of the U.S. auto industry, pickups, large SUVs, ICEs. Think GM, most notably, maybe Ford as well, some Stellantis. So we think that's really where you'll see most of the benefit near term, not as much with the EV space in the U.S.
EV space has certainly been under pressure. At the same time, though, Tom, you have an outperform on Tesla. Why do you continue to like this company?
Yeah, it's certainly not really because of autos. It has more to do with the AI features, right? So robotaxi, you guys well know my thoughts on robotaxi, and then now the humanoid market. And yes, look, it's very early to tell where Tesla's going to be in that. So I look at Tesla the same way on humanoids as I do on robotaxi, which is I look at the top down. I think it's a huge market opportunity, both humanoids and robotaxi. And I'm assuming actually very small penetration levels for Tesla on humanoids, only 5% of that market. It's a big opportunity, this humanoid market. I don't think the investor base has caught up with reality. Certainly folks like me are new to the game. When you talk to the experts in robotics, as we have recently, you realize why there's such a big market opportunity. And, you know, that tends to move this stock, right? It's a narrative stock. As long as we don't have negative data points, and this is like a 10, 15-year horizon, what is the negative catalyst here to kind of put some shade on the stock? So right now we're looking at that perspective, and we like the stock.
So what do you make of Michael Burry's call then, when he says Tesla is ridiculously overvalued? Would you just tell him that you're looking at the future and what's going on with not just robotaxi, but potentially what happens with humanoids?
Yeah, I mean, like, we don't know is the answer, right? I mean, we don't know who's going to win. What do we know about humanoids? We know there's going to be a lot of them. We know that's probably going to be decades from now. We know the form factor will probably be humanoid. And we know Tesla is one of the leaders. So, you know, from that basis, I do think there's enough inertia that should support the stock. Maybe in 10 years or 5 years, we look back and maybe I was wrong, you know. But I just think it's too early to tell, right? I mean, I think the data that Michael Burry had during the housing crisis was real data, right? I don't think we have actual real life data to show that humanoids won't happen or Tesla won't be a big piece of that, or in the robotaxi side either, right? So I'm following what the data that we have presenting before us today is, and I like the odds that Tesla has to capture it, but ultimately, none of us really know the answer.